Hello, and a very warm welcome to the Sacred Womb podcast, where we talk about all things to do with befriending our menstrual cycle, deeply healing both our feminine and masculine aspects, and how we can indeed utilise our cyclical nature as a natural spiritual pathway that's encoded within our bodies. I'm your host, Melanie Swan, and you can also go to thesacredwomb.com for more information and loads of fantastic free resources. Hey, and welcome back to the Sacred Womb podcast. Today, I have no guest. Today, it is me, just me, talking to you about how we can honour our menstrual cycle when we're looking after our kids. So firstly, I wanted to just ask you, how is your connection with your womb and your menstrual cycle? When was the last time you took time to just put your hands on your womb? As you can join me, if you wish, in doing so whilst I'm talking in this introduction. And just putting your hands on your womb. And just taking a few deep breaths as we start this podcast and tune into ourselves and drop into our bodies. So I just thought we'd sit for a minute or so and just breathe with our womb. Maybe with one hand on your heart, if you like, to just slow down and just let's take a minute for ourselves. Nice deep breaths. You might want to make a noise as you breathe out. Release any tension that's built up throughout the day. Oh, I think that's a lovely way to only start talking on the podcast and speaking from my womb centre. So let's start with honouring our menstrual cycle when we have children. So just want to make something clear. I don't actually have children, have physically birthed children. It's a conscious choice by me. I don't want kids this life. However, I have looked after loads and loads of kids in my work. So I think most of you know I trained in drama therapy, and then I worked for schools with the performing arts, helping teachers implement the performing arts in classes. And then I worked for Barnardo's as a family worker, like family therapist, systemic therapist with teachers, with parents, directly with the kids, and different services that were needed. So that was one way. I've done a lot of stuff with parents and boundaries and bedtimes, and not just in theory, not just talking to them, but actually being in their home and seeing what works. Because really every family, every child, every person is different, and you have to tweak things and exercises and practices to get it right for those people. But generally, our human interactions do follow patterns. We all want connection. We all want to feel safe. We all want to feel secure, particularly kids, because their world is pretty much out of their control when they're little. And we're responsible for them. So, then I went on to work in social services with kids in care, where the placements have broken down. I've worked on loads and loads of camps. So basically what I'm trying to say is I've got loads of experience, even though I don't have kids myself. So I'm not just reading this out of a book. So this podcast came about because someone in the Sacred Womb private Facebook group asked a really great question, which was, how can we make space for our needs as women whilst a child senses these changes within us and struggles to be okay with these changes. And this was specifically during, someone was wanting more space during their premenstrual phase, which I can totally understand, and obviously some time out during moon time. The question was, how can we make space for ourselves and really honour our own cycle and the different phases that we go through, but while still caring for our kids? So, and this is really common in our ovulation stage, and sometimes in our pre-ovulation stage. We're happy to be more outwards. We're happy to engage with the world more. But when we go into our premenstrual phase, we naturally slow down. And then obviously in our moon time phase, we slow down even more and we want more time out. So yeah, in our premenstrual phase, I don't know about you, but my senses ramp up so that I can listen within more and listen to myself. But if there's too much outside stimulation, I just get pissed off. I just want to go home. I want to be quiet. I want a nice just space for myself. So obviously we can't just stop looking after our kids, but we do need to make some shifts and communicate with them in a way that has them feeling safe. Because what happens is when we go from external, social, engaged to our premenstrual time, we draw more inwards naturally. And as kids, we're very savvy. We can feel this draw in. And what really can often happen as we're starting to honour our cycle and our kids aren't used to it, they can sense this withdrawal, or this going internal as a withdrawal, as a pulling away, and as a loss of connection. So if you're a mum and you just want to go and lie down for half an hour and you communicate that with your child, and then you find them like drawing all over the walls, breaking things, screaming, crying, just basically coming into your room, not being okay with playing on their own, obviously depending what age they are, then yeah, they are acting. That's what we call acting out. So they're acting their feelings out. Obviously, they're not able to communicate, hey, Mum, like when you go and lie down, I'm experiencing a loss of connection here. So I don't know really how to express that. So what I'm going to do is throw shit. And, our kids know where our cracks are, what pushes our buttons. And when you have kids of your own, you live with them all the time. So they're going to know where your buttons are. And particularly in my instance, where I've looked after a lot of kids who have been distressed to start with, they scan and they can scan very, very well for what upsets you and what pleases you, so that they can keep connection and feel safe. So when I've wanted some time out before and not communicated that properly, the kids just start acting their feelings out because they feel abandoned, they feel unsafe, and they want that connection back. So even though I've not cut connection with them, you probably haven't either, they experience it like that. They can experience you pulling away. And that is very scary. Obviously, if you're 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 13 or 50, maybe your partner experiences a loss of connection or a feeling that triggers feelings of abandonment as you pull inwards and take time for yourself. So what do we do about it? How do we honour our cycle and stay connected with our kids in a way that has them feeling safe? So really, as I've talked about already, the problem is that our kids feel a loss of connection, and that's just very scary. And they'll know the things that they can do to get our attention back: throw things, scream, put some music on, maybe draw on the walls, all sorts of things, or like just keep opening and shutting the door repeatedly, something just that we'll find it really annoying, but it gets our attention. So that's what they're doing. They're trying to get the connection back the best way they can, the quickest way they can, and they know they're really good at knowing how to do that. So what do we do about it? Well, I've got a few tips here, so I'm just going to list them. To start off with, we can explain about me time, taking me time, but when they're calm, when the kids are feeling calm and connected with us, we can explain to them about me time and that the heart is still with them. And we can draw a picture to explain that, or we can put a string between the hearts and say, well, there's an invisible string that always goes from my heart to yours, and that can't be broken. So I'm always connected to you, and the love goes between us. So, if you're away from me and you're feeling a bit lonely, or if you feel you want to be with me, you just feel into your heart, and I'm there. I'm with you. But explaining when they're calm helps it go in. If you're trying to explain something to a child or anyone, actually, when they're triggered or they're upset, it doesn't really go in. So when their nervous system is calm and they're feeling safe and connected and lovely, maybe when you're putting them to bed and it's nice relaxed time, explaining about you taking me time in this way will go a long way. So that your child is receiving the information in a calm, connected state. So she's going to associate it then more with a calm, connected state. The second point is for some kids, it can be really helpful to have a physical thing for them to remind them of your return. So say your daughter or your son is maybe 5 or 6 years old, and you just want to go and take 15 minutes for yourself. Or you want to go and lie down for half an hour and just recalibrate. And an activity, they can draw or something, or they can sit, that they can do something that okay, they're fine doing that. I am just going to go in the other room and take some time out. It's really useful at this point to communicate that with them and leave them an object to represent that your heart is still with them and that you're coming back, and tell them how long you're going to be. This is really, really important, and then stick to it, because then they're going to build up trust with you, and then they'll believe you next time. And you can also build the time up a little bit each time as the trust builds. So it could be something like a special teddy bear that's going to stay with her while mummy's lying down or taking space or meditating, having some me time. And the bear can have a message hung round his neck or something, or stuck on a post-it note that mummy's still here and is coming back in 10 minutes. And 10 minutes is when the big hand is on the 2 and the other hand is on the 4, so that they've got some physical anchor for mum's still with me and she's coming back, and she's coming back when that hand moves round to the 2. It really helps them get a marker for, I'm still safe and I can just relax and play. And it's really likely that they'll forget about the time, but it is very important that you go back on time then and look at the clock and pick them up. And the reconnection is important too. So make that nice and warm and nice and lovely, so that they really start to experience you having me time as something that's lovely, and they can trust that you're returning, and that they get a big hug when you come back, and they feel really safe, because that's what they want. They want to feel safe and connected. So you can do this. I would recommend you start trying this when you don't particularly need time for yourself, because your patience is going to be you're going to have much more capacity for your patience. So I personally would start this when I'm doing my ovulation phase, because I've got much more patience than when I'm in my pre-menstrual phase, and certainly moon time. So I'd start this in my ovulation phase, and just depending on how old your child is and how distressed they do feel, if you do take time out, you can start with a couple of minutes, come back, leave it a couple of hours, do it again. I'm just going to take 5 minutes this time. You can even build in learning the times a little bit. Oh, the this hand and the that. Okay, great. I'll see you at that time. Leave the teddy bear, so that they get a repeat of this positive experience where you're going away and you're coming back. And actually, this is a really, really great muscle to build up between you and your child anyway, because they will get to understand that relationship is not only about being together, but it's about being apart sometimes too. So really great muscle for their development anyway. So yeah, start from a couple of minutes, judge it for yourself. You know your child and what their likes and dislikes are, and build it up from there. Next point is to normalise me time and talk about your daughter's or your son's me time and what that would look like for them, so that the me time isn't all about you. They're learning about me time for them too. So you've got a daughter. I think girls are a little bit more open to this than boys, but in my own experience. But girls tend to like writing more and have their own little book and have a little diary. So if you've got a daughter, you can get her to do that. And that's, we call this me time. This is time just for you, just to write your thoughts and draw your feelings and really demonstrate that it's a very positive thing to do. So in it, she's going to learn about her me time too, and how lovely it is to take that, and what a positive experience it is. Again, time it, make the comeback and the return great, and that it really does go a long way. If you've got a son, you'll know what his likes and dislikes are for like playing alone, and then tweak that. But yeah, teach him about me time too. I think boys are particularly, certainly the generation, my generation and older and a little bit younger too. I don't think men got educated about me time at all. So I think that's a great thing for boys to learn and understand. Okay, and so we move on now to having a physical chart of your cycle on the wall, of your menstrual cycle on the wall. And so that your son or daughter gets used to a circular chart rather than a linear chart of the month or your cycle. So if you put it on the wall and then you put the four different phases on there, and then plan in different activities and explain that you're in a different mode in the different phases, and that it would be good if you could together plan some different activities so that they feel part of this cycle and they've got stuff to look forward to as well. So not only are you getting the time that you want and planning in the activities that you want when it's most appropriate, you're also teaching your kids by doing that we have different phases and that we're not flat, and we have different emotions and feelings, and we do different things at different times. Particularly for girls, it will help them embody this. And for guys as well, for boys, this is going to help them understand. They're not just flat. Guys work in cycles as well, different ones than us. But yeah, it'll help them in their future relationships with women. So we've got planning things on this chart for, say, ovulation time, the nice high vibe activities, if that's what you prefer. And you'll know when's a good time for you to do different things. And so, you can plan in quieter activities during your premenstrual time. And when it's on the wall, I find kids have this another anchor then to be like, okay, well, mummy's in her quiet time now, but in 2 sleeps time, we're going to the dinosaur museum, or we're going to play out in the swimming pool or something like that. And today I get to play with my Play-Doh and have some relaxing music on in the background. So, yeah, but all important, as I draw to my final point here, is to plan some time just for you. As hard as this might seem, plan some time for you during moon time so that you get at least an hour or 2 or an afternoon or even a full day to yourself without your kids, without anybody else, and it's just for you doing exactly as you please. This, I find, goes such a long way. If we are doing stuff in our premenstrual phase that we're like, I just don't want to be doing this today, I'm slowing down. But if we know we've got some time just to ourselves in a few days' time that's silent, that's still, that's just us alone, I do find it helps to increase the patience, to just help relax those nerves and just know that our time is not quite yet, but it is coming. But really, ask your friends, ask people that you trust to pick up your kids or look after them for the day, or explain to your partner, like, I need one day a month where I do not do any household stuff. I don't do anything. I might even go and stay in a hotel for the night once a month, just to take care of myself. That will resource you for the rest of the month if you can really take time for yourself in whatever way works for you. So if you have any questions about that, let us know in the Sacred Womb private Facebook group. There are lots of women in there. There's just up to 1,100 women in there now. So it's a nice, growing, grounded group where questions are asked and they get answered and support is given. I also do a live monthly Q&A as well. So you can ask me whatever you want about befriending your cycle, womb healing, and optimizing your cycle for creativity, productivity, self-care, and personal growth. And so that's a lovely growing group in there. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed today. I hope that helped. If you have kids or if you look after kids sometimes, to help you key in to how to take care of yourself in your cyclical nature, but also take care of kids at the same time, so that you feel good and the kids feel connected and safe, and it's a win-win situation, basically. So yeah, I'd love to know how you get on with this. That's all for me from now, and I'll see you next time. I really hope you enjoyed the podcast and that you got some useful tips out of it that can make a genuine difference in your daily life. And if you'd love to work deeper with this stuff, then do head on over to thesacredwomb.com, where you can sign up to receive the weekly newsletter and an invite to our private Facebook group, where you can share, learn and grow with like-minded women in a safe, supported space. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do leave us a rating, and your comments are very, very welcome. And I'll see you next time.